Hi there, Coach Sage Canaday of SageRunning.com here with another training talk. Today we're going to talk about applying some of Kipchoge's running form aspects that we saw in the sub 2 hour project, right? He just ran a 1:59 for 42K marathon distance. He also has the world record, of course, of 2:01:39 and has won London, Berlin, the Olympics. He's the greatest of all time marathon runner. So phenomenal runner. He's got really good form. But you don't necessarily want to copy his form, right? He's running a marathon at 68 seconds per 400 pace, right? Go to a local track, try to run one lap, 400 meters at 68 seconds per lap, or 430 mile pace, 250 per kilometer pace, right? It's pretty ridiculous. So we see things like a really high, what we call a butt kick with the leg coming back. We also look at things like stride rate or cadence, how many steps he takes in a minute while he's running at this marathon pace, and how you could apply some of those physics and principles to your own running form to make you more efficient, but also help reduce the risk for injury. Let's get started. All right, so the first thing we look at in analyzing Kipchoge's form, especially from the side view, you want to analyze people's form from a side view while they're running in a race usually, because that's where bad habits get formed, or good habits. Is Kipchoge, I was counting his stride rate, or how many steps he takes in a minute, and it was always between about 170 to 180 steps per minute. Now, your frequency may vary down to 165 steps a minute or 190 steps a minute, and it does vary on what velocity or actual pace you're running at. If you're jogging very slowly on a recovery jog, it's hard to get the cadence up, or if you're running up and down hills on technical trails, it's harder to get that cadence. But generally, for most people, around marathon race pace to 5K race pace, distance running race pace, you're going to be wanting to be between 160 to 190 steps per minute. And again, we've covered this on a lot of different running form videos. Be sure to check out our running form tutorial list, as well as Coach Sandy's channel, Running Wild to Believe. I'll link all that in the description below. But the cadence, you could count how many steps you take in a minute. He's taking that sweet spot in cadence. Now, he's running, a sub 2 hour marathon. He's running 2:01 in the marathon. Maybe you're trying to run under 4 hours or 3 hours, right? But your cadence is the same. Maybe your cadence is 170 steps per minute, and that's usually better than if you were trying to take 160 steps per minute. Because you're taking 160 steps a minute, you're kind of bounding, and that's not going to be very efficient generally in a long distance race, right? If you're taking really slow stride rate, there's a lot of impact force with each step, and that's the thing, is the jarring force. You also have to apply a lot of force to spring yourself up really hard. So impact force is key. He's driving off with a lot of force to run that fast. Basically, running speed, or your velocity, is determined by your stride rate or cadence multiplied by your stride length. And to get a long stride length, you're going to have to be generating a lot of power and a lot of force on that push-off. Now, most people can't be driving with a really strong push-off, right? If you look at videos of people running on a treadmill trying to run 13.1 miles an hour, 21 kilometers per hour like Kipchoge is, it looks like they're sprinting at that speed. Even if I go to a track and run a 68 second 400 meters, that's a pretty hard interval for me, right? That's between my 3K and 5K race pace. I can only stay with Kipchoge for like 4K when I was in shape to run a 5K PR in college. I only ran 14:29 for 5K. Kipchoge's splitting 14:10 per 5K. So to get that speed, the elites are running with a long stride length, right? But you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about that because maybe your goal is to run, again, a sub 4 hour marathon, or a sub 3 hour marathon, or sub 240 hour marathon. So your stride length is not going to be as long, but your cadence or your stride, your stride length is not going to be as long, but your cadence or stride rate might be very similar to Kipchoge's. And the difference there, I was talking about this in a running clinic the other day, was that people say, oh, he's got a really high back kick, right? His heel's coming up really high behind him. And I did a whole video out here actually on the back kick, trying to get your heel up. And it's not so much you want to tighten your hamstring, it's more a reactionary of the momentum from your back kick. You're driving in with a strong push-up back force and engaging that hamstring, and then pushing off with your calf and your ankle, the ankle flexion. But that kickback's coming just because your leg's swinging backwards. And the thing that's going to limit that, for me at least, is a tight hip flexor. I'm not getting a huge kickback, but it's also because I'm not running as fast as Kipchoge. I'm not going to be kicking my butt, right? We say the butt kicks is a good sprinting drill for speed, and if you're doing strides or you're doing hill sprints or you're sprinting, you're going to have a high butt kick because you're running fast and you have to develop a lot of power. But if you're in a distance race like a marathon and you're not running sub 2 hours, then your back kick's probably not going to be as high as Kipchoge's, right? So a lot of those guys who are pacing him are also really fast runners, sub 4-minute milers, sub 13-minute 5K runners, sub 60-minute half marathon runners. Those guys all have really good form, and they're popping off the ground, and they all have a pretty high back kick. What you don't see is a lot of motion in front, right? They're not landing out front with a heel strike. Most of the action's happening behind their body with that back kick, which is really just momentum. But the force when they hit the ground is also key. And it's like they're popping off the ground with quick feet, right? You want to imagine you're running on a hotbed of coals. You're able to get that foot off the ground as fast as possible, right? And that quickness, that muscle elasticity, that release of energy through your foot, through the shoe. And again, I think you could run in great form any type of shoe. These are the Hoka One Carbon Rockets, which is a very low drop shoe, only 1 millimeter, and very light. I will say, is that spring off, that quick spring off, because you're minimizing ground contact time. You're able to apply more force very quickly. You're going to have a faster cadence and more power, hopefully, in your stride to make you run faster. Now we're talking about, all this push-off force and opening up your stride more. And, some of it's tied to genetics. Everyone's going to have different running form. We're not all the same height and weight as Kipchoge. We're built differently with our femur length to our tibia, how our knee joint bends. We have different size feet. All these different factors, slow twitch to fast twitch muscle fibers, could change the dynamics of how your personal form will look and what is the best form for you. We said the best form for you is the form that keeps you healthy and doesn't get you injured, right? You don't want to have an overuse injury, tendinitis, plantar fasciitis, shin splints, things like that. But you also are going to need the aerobic system or the heart and lung power to support the workload to run faster. So a lot of people say, I have really strong legs. I want to sprint really fast and hold that pace for a longer distance race. I want to improve my speed. I have this, longer stride length now, but I'm out of breath. And that's another limiting factor. You have to train the heart and lungs really well, the metabolism, through a lot of aerobic base building running, to be able to support the workload to run faster. So it's not just about muscular power. It's not just about the aesthetics of proper looking, good looking running form. It's also about what's inside that counts. And part of that's even mental, right? You see Kipchoge at the end of the race, he's kind of smiling. He's smiling because he's probably happy because he's going to break a record and win a race. But he was also kind of grimacing, I think, because he's probably feeling a lot of pain. And even the elites feel pain. Trust me, it's extremely hard effort, hard work, but you smile, kind of trick your brain into thinking, okay, I'm enjoying this. I'm going to kind of get in a state of flow and ignore that pain and push that back, not be limited by it mentally. But there's a lot of physical things going on inside your body with lactic acid and glycogen depletion, dehydration, that will limit your muscle power. So it's not just all about form. The other final takeaway with running form and the muscle power is that through higher mileage training and more consistent training, you build up the strength in your muscles and tendons to help build resistance to injury, right? It's a high-impact sport, high-impact force. As you get stronger through more consistent training and higher mileage, you're also able to improve your running economy, your running efficiency, but also hopefully not get injured as much, so you could be consistent and run faster. So that's my final takeaway. One final thing with Kipchoge's arm motion, you see, very straight back and forth, very relaxed. Not everyone could have that high elbow angle that he has, but it's just driving straight back and forth, right? There's a little side to side. There has to be a little side to side to counteract the twisting pelvis and your leg force. And his legs are popping off the ground pretty fast head on, but it's very relaxed. He's very relaxed. He has an extremely strong core with his stomach muscles, his hip flexors, and his glutes and hamstrings that he's obviously engaging to have that kind of power stride and to run that fast with a slight forward lean, coming mainly from the ankles, right? He's kind of using his momentum, driving forward to run that high velocity, but extremely inspirational athlete, the greatest marathon runner of all time. And the fact that he's 34 years old, at least, maybe there's some speculation he might actually be older, gives me a lot of inspiration, because being in, your mid-30s or late 30s, still smashing marathon world records, winning marathon majors, winning the Olympics, setting personal bests and improving. Self-improvement is what it's all about. So hopefully you can enjoy the sport more. We could all learn some of these physics and mechanics from Kipchoge, watching him in these amazing types of events. Thank you so much for subscribing on here. Again, check out some of Sandy's running tutorials. She's got more content coming on Running Wild to Believe. Put the link up there as well as in the description below. She's got a great one on deadlifts and increasing your glute power in running, as well as other running tips. We've been on here. Any service, any distance, you know us. We've experienced it all. We've got training plans for every event. SageRunning.com. Thank you again. Stay tuned for more.